All right, so let's take a look at this one up here. See if we get the same thing, -103, or plus or minus for -103. So when we do this, just be careful. So we have -5 squared, that's contained in parentheses, which is 25, minus good. Plus or minus the square root of -103.
Oh, I actually got it right.
Good. Good job. Good job. So, we haven't discussed, guys, imaginary values yet, or imaginary numbers. So for right now, we can just go ahead and leave it like this. This is fine. I know some of you might be wondering, well, square root of a negative number, what is that? You know, we simply think of, you guys only really are familiar with real numbers. So like the square root of 4, for example, you know, is 2. But the square root of -4, you may not know what that is. Think about a number times itself. How do you get a negative value? And that will come about later. But for right now, let's just go ahead and leave our value like this. We'll discuss imaginary numbers in the near future. Yeah. So I is the square root of -1. So you may already have covered it at some point. So good. All right. So the next thing we're going to look at, let's review this: how to solve quadratics. Now, I'm going to have a quiz. Quiz on Wednesday tomorrow. Going to be on solving quadratic equations by both factoring, which I think most of you are pretty comfortable on from what I can tell, whether that be the tic-tac-toe or long AC method or short AC if you can. But the one we're going to focus on today, I'll have you guys work in groups, is this quadratic formula, which you have on your reference sheet, which is also here on the screen here. Just a matter of plugging it in, just being careful. So just be very careful with your work and don't make silly mistakes, and you'll get the right answer every single time. Because the formula is already here ready to go. It's just saying, okay, go ahead, give me what A is, give me B, give me C, and I'll go ahead and I'll figure out what X is. So, in general, solving quadratics, again, you can always just jump right into quadratic formula. That'll give you the solutions immediately. You know, before that, we learned about step 2, factoring out the GCF, but let's not forget step 1. I saw some students in the last period where they would try to go ahead and apply the formula, but they weren't set in this form yet. So make sure it's ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. I know your reference sheet doesn't state that that's the form it needs to be in, but that is what it needs to be. It needs to be in this form before you apply the quadratic form. It needs to be in this form before you factor. So whether you're solving by factoring or solving by quadratic formula, make sure step 1 is being satisfied here, making sure that it's set equal to 0 first. Step 2, factor out the GCF. That's something you can do if you recognize it. It makes life a little bit easier. So that way you're dealing with a smaller factor to deal with, a smaller quadratic. Or at least it looks smaller, and it's easier to factor from there, or solve using the quadratic formula. Here's a perfect example that we had, where they each had 2 in common, so we factored out 2. Okay, so quadratic formula. So questions from the homework. This was one of the questions. For those of you that wanted to take a look at it, was number 11. So for number 11, we were just going ahead and looking at, it said to find the discriminant. So it's on page 124, number 11. It just says to find the discriminant of a quadratic equation, describe the number and type of solutions of the equation. 4x squared plus 6x equals -9, setting equal to 0. And the discriminant is just the b squared minus 4ac. So notice if you look at your quadratic formula, the b squared minus 4ac, that's just the radicand. It's just the part underneath the radical. Okay? So if you went ahead and did 11, b is 6, a is 4, c is positive 9. Simplify, you get negative 108. So because it's negative 108, what does that tell us about the roots? It's a negative value. The discriminant's negative, so we have 2 imaginary roots. And that's one of the 3 cases that we can have. So if we go back and we quickly review this here, we got negative 108 for our discriminant. Our discriminant is negative. This is what it looks like graphically, whether it be concave up or concave down, but the point here is that it will not touch the x-axis, will not cross the x-axis. 2 imaginary roots. You don't have those notes available on Blackboard from yesterday? Did anyone else see those?
I'm not volume level.
Glad you announced that. If you're not on Blackboard, you might want to hop on Blackboard. Availability to all the announcements and homework and
When you try to sign up to your class. It's just math.
and
What are you going to say, it's math? Yeah.
PDFs and all that. Anyway. Number 5 on your worksheet that I handed out. So what you're going to do today is you are going to get ahead and get pairs and get groups, and you're going to do work on 5 through 17 odd and 19 through 25 odd. So in other words, 5 through 25 odd. Go ahead and get started on that, and whatever you don't finish, you can go ahead and complete this homework. If you have any homework to turn in, please go ahead and turn it in now.
Yes.